I'd been teaching spirituality for decades without ever using the word soul. Because the word soul is used so many different ways, I wasn't even sure I believed in it. What is the soul? Is it the part of us that survives death? Does that have some ontological reality? Is that some kind of morphogenetic field that somehow endures the death process and some pattern, some essence, some quality makes it through into the next life? You know, what is it? But I definitely knew what the word soul meant when you talked about it in common parlance. I could feel it in the quality of John Coltrane's saxophone. I could hear it in Bonnie Raitt's voice. I knew what it was that somebody was saying when they said, I think I've actually met my soul mate. Or when someone said, I had to leave, that corporation has no soul. We know what that is, and it is about a kind of depth, but it's a depth with specificity. You know, the ancient spiritual traditions had a cosmology that had to do with layers of reality, with this concrete, gross, physical world being underlaid by a subtler dimension of non-physicality, the kind of thing we might best understand through fields like electromagnetic fields, or some talk about morphogenetic fields. Perhaps there are fields that pattern this gross reality and give rise to it, and layers of such fields, some closer to our physical reality and some even subtler. And subtler than all of them is supposed to be the extremely subtle, as they called it in Tibet, or the causal, as they called it in India, level, which is just information itself, just almost presence itself. What is real to us, though, is how our lives are guided. And there are qualities of attraction and accident that bring forward what's next in our lives that are random and karmic. And there are opportunities to attune to something that has a kind of necessity and profundity and power of a whole different nature that's aligned to truth, that is connected to the true north of our being, our reason for being here, why we were born. And we recognize that with the same embodied smack of recognition that you can feel when you hear music that's got soul, or you know that something doesn't have soul. And it's that fundamental alignment of the being that we're all involved in doing. But there are principles of how to understand the different voices, true and false, and different kinds of truth that paradoxically interplay, that are elusive and profound. And a journey through which we actually accomplish that is worth taking. It's necessary. Because we're at a time when it's game time, folks. Our whole world is in a crisis, and each one of us has to find a way to live our path with heart and soul at a new level together. This integral soul journey is going to be an 8-month process through which I'm going to join you in a deepening community of practice where our soul and our spiritual life will both be presenced in a balanced and healthy way that will allow us to be lived by the deeper truths that are trying to find their way into this world through us, individually and together. So please join me. I want to talk more about that and talk more about invite you into the field through which that is magnetized. Because really, in the end, this is a transmission. It's about us opening into the thing that is ready to happen right now.